Just want to remind everybody that Val Nichushkin royally screwed all of us last year. Do you know how difficult this is for me to watch the very Avalanche team that I preached to you guys throughout the entire second half of last season play the exact way that I told you that they were going to play once the playoffs started? But because Val Nichushkin scored the game-winning goal in Game 2 and then had to do that thing that he did, which took him out of the playoffs, and then the Avalanche became a one-line team and lost to the Seattle Kraken, we were not able to enjoy the fruits of those Sniffs. Now, we still ended up net profit because they did win the division at plus 380 on the very last day of the season, but I knew we should have had more. First, it was Landeskog that screwed us. He's practicing, he's coming back, and then he opted for the second surgery, and then the Nichushkin debacle. This is the team that I was talking about. Blitzkrieg coming at you with waves, using all three pairs of D to supplement the offense. Very entertaining to watch. Just frustrating that we could have enjoyed some of that last year until Game 2 in the hotel room, if you know what I'm talking about. I will say this about that series in Winnipeg, and for you hockey fans out there, just some food for thought. I find it very interesting when a team like Winnipeg, they go out, they're having a great season. You guys know I typically favor good defense over good offense. I've been watching for years, and so many times everybody from Crosby to Ovechkin, McDavid, you name it, there's always a series or two where they get stifled. And good defense, it's not like a good player where you have to hope they kind of stay in form. Good defense is usually available for you every game. And a team like Winnipeg, they built up their record using great defense, and then because they're doing well, they feel obligated to build on that, and they make trades for guys like Monahan and Toffoli, who aren't the most sound defensive players, and then it hurts the very thing that got them to where they were in the first place. So now they're a worse defensive team who's a little bit better on offense because of those pieces, and now they're more vulnerable in the back end, and then you get cracked by the Avalanche. And I also am thinking that a little bit maybe with the Carolina Hurricanes. Yeah, you bring in Kuznetsov, you bring in Jake Gensel, but you also bring in some of the defensive deficiencies that come with them, and I don't think it's a coincidence that they blew some of those leads to the Islanders in the way that they did. So just something to think about. Something else to think about is, remember when you were a kid, it seemed like it was impossible to win on the road in sports? I feel like 15 years went by before I saw a team go into Lambeau and win a football game. Now, everyone under the sun, if you played an arcade game in Lambeau, you'd probably win your first one. Everyone's winning on the road all the time. You try to follow the momentum. I know you see this Stars Golden Knights game tonight. Oh my God, Stars, they just won. They won 2 in a row. They're the 1 seed coming back home. They got all the momentum. Well, you would have thought that about Vancouver as well. They go into Nashville, take both of the games. What reason does Nashville? That's the most demoralizing way you could ever lose on your own home ice, and then take that long flight to Vancouver. Trailing in the third period, and they win the game. Colorado wins on the road. The Toronto Maple Leafs, they lose their MVP caliber player, 69 goal scorer, and play essentially their best game of the series and win in Boston without Austin Matthews. In hockey, the ends don't always justify the means. The best team does not always win. Has Vancouver even played well in a game yet? Really, have they played well in a game? Trailing all of game 1, congrats, you snuck a win at the end. Lose game 2, 12 shots on goal in game 3. Game 4, outplayed, down 3-1 with 2 minutes left. And then you lose the next game on your own home ice. But they're up 3-2 in the series. That defines hockey quite nicely. And I guess that also reminds you guys why I thought that bracket was the most winnable, and why I thought Edmonton had a great chance to at least get to the conference finals, and then we will see what happens there. But we got those Golden Knights playing the Stars. Are we going to take the road team again? Going into the pizzeria and trying to guess between the Stars and the Knights? Stars have all the momentum, yet the Golden Knights have won 4 of the 5 playoff games played in Dallas between this year and last year. And you know they're not going to be fazed by it. One thing I will take, I will go right back to it. Every game other than the first one, including the last one, don't you know? Bump it up. I will take the under 6.5, because I think when it gets late in these games, sometimes you get goals early between these teams. But every one of these games, you saw Dallas do it. The announcers kept saying, wow, Dallas is really just content sitting back. That's called clenched ass cheeks. When you know how much is on a line in the series, they had a 1-goal lead in the third, you sit back and you defend. Vegas, earlier in the series, when they had a lead, they sat back and they defended. And don't ever let anybody tell you that sitting back and defending can't be a successful way. They always point to blown leads like the Nashville ones, but then completely disregard great defense played in the third period. Like, look at the games in this series. Every team who clamped down and held on to their lead in the third period, it was a 1-goal lead, they held on, they won. So don't let anyone ever tell you that. And I'm going to go under 6.5 here. And if that's not a price that you like, then why don't you add the Vegas Golden Knights at plus 2.5? Plus 2.5, under 6.5 gets you that game at plus 105. And if you've watched my videos throughout the year, you guys know if you take an under 6.5, you never take a money line or a plus 1.5 because it's impossible to use all 6 goals and win by 1. And if you're thinking, no, I can, I've won a bet. Yeah, you can win a bet, but there's no way you can use all 6 goals and win by 1. So I do feel comfortable taking the plus 2.5 with the under 6.5 at plus 105. And if that doesn't whet your beak, that doesn't tickle your fancy, you don't like going into the pizzeria and ordering those kinds of items, you're a pescatarian, or whatever the hell that's called, then I'll dish you some player props. We got a Chucky player prop for you. What's a Chucky player prop? I told you guys about a week or two ago. I tell you guys about a prop. You guys walk in, you take the prop, it does awfully, you guys leave, and then the prop goes back to working every single game. It's like me telling you there's a killer doll named Chucky and he's trying to kill us. You walk in and you just see a plastic toy there. You walk out the door, he's stabbing me again. And that's what the Jamie Benn under 2.5 shots on goal was. I gave it to you guys game 1. Why? Because the end of the year, one shot. I was just winning on it. I like to test things out in the lab and then bring them to you. I brought it to you game 1 of the playoffs. Guy rips like 8 shots in the first period. I'm the biggest disgrace. Everybody's throwing parties celebrating my demise. You guys walk out. Chucky's alive again. He's stabbing me every single game. Game 2, game 3, game 4, under 2.5 shots. So let's see if Chucky remains plastic or he stays alive for all of us. I'm going to go under 2.5 shots on goal for Jamie Benn. And then a player I've brought up multiple times toward the end of the season, Noah Hannafin. He's on the Vegas top power play. He has a couple of points in this series, but more importantly, he has a bunch of shots in this series. If you think about when Vegas had Pietrangelo and Shea Theodore back there, one of them always had, whoever was on the top power play, always had a 2.5 shots on goal prop, always. But for some weird reason, Noah Hannafin, he stays at 1.5, and it's not like it's a minus 190. I'm seeing it at minus 150. That's not the worst price in the world. And then the other game, I don't really have to overthink this one. These teams have made it easy for me. Whether I think the Oilers are a semi-scam or not, it doesn't really matter. One of these teams has the top power play in the playoffs. The other one of these teams has the bottom power play in the playoffs. And by virtue of knowing that, you know which team has the best penalty kill in the playoffs and which team has the worst penalty kill in the playoffs. But all kidding aside, I've never seen a power play struggle in the playoffs, and I'm an Islanders fan, like the LA Kings. They can't even get in the zone. They can hardly get possession of the puck in the offensive zone while on the power play. I mean, this is beyond dismal. And if you can't do that, and you need to keep the game 5-on-5, look at last game. That's as good of a game as LA can hope for. They handled themselves defensively. They kept the game 5-on-5 for the majority of the game. They had a good amount of chances. It was 0-0. Edmonton gets one power play, a single power play, scores a goal, and that's how the game ends, 1-0. 1-0 win for Edmonton. So if I can count on you never scoring on the power play while the other team has scored at a 50% clip and scored on you at a similar clip in last playoffs, I think I got to go Edmonton here. It might be a chalky Dave, Dan, regular guy, Chase debit card, MacBook Pro, 3 meals a day, 2,000 calorie diet. I watch a TV show and then the news and then I go to bed type of bet. But it's very hard not to take it. I mean, it's not like we're looking at the Carolina Hurricanes price from last night. And yesterday, I gave a trickle-down snakeonomics play on the YouTube short. It ended up not working out. But I do want to say, for any regular people out there, you're not one of these maniac gargoyles. Anytime you bet $5 on $5 with the majority of the game, they you can ever get a top 6 player moved to the 4th line and his price doesn't change, it's an awesome bet. Always take it. You don't have to share it with me. I try to share it with you, but the same way we got Pavelski on that 3rd line and the same way we found Toffoli, who had 6 minutes through 2 periods of ice time. 6 minutes. If the sports books were given that information, they said, hey, this guy's going to have 6 minutes of ice time through the first 2 periods, his point prop no price would be minus 500. But as was the case with Pavelski, when a team is struggling, you'll get some line juggling. They tried him on the 2nd line. Ehlers found him in the 3rd. He got a point. So it didn't work out for us. I'm going to find a way to get this Edmonton money line at plus in a weird fashion by kind of taking an under on an Edmonton player. This guy isn't going from like the 1st line to the 3rd line. He's not going from the 2nd to the, he's going from the 3rd line to the 4th line after being moved from the 2nd line to the 3rd line. This is Warren Foegele. I'm going to take the Edmonton Oilers with the under half of a point on Warren Foegele. And if you don't let them go, take the Jamie bet, take the Chucky and add it with the Edmonton Oilers. So that's something that I like there. And the reason he's on the 4th line is because originally somebody took his spot on the 2nd line. This was a guy that was one of my favorite things over the weekend, and it didn't work, but I have to go right back to this. This is Evander Kane. We're getting his prices as like a 3rd, borderline 4th line player. His over 2.5 shots on goal, playing on a line with Nugent Hopkins, a good passer, and Leon Draisaitl, a great passer, is a great bet. This is probably my favorite bet of the night, the over 2.5 shots on goal. I know I told you at the end of yesterday's video, I like the over 3.5 for William Nylander. There's no Austin Matthews, most likely. Great price. I think this price is pretty damn good for a player who's going to be playing with those 2 players and a guy who loves to shoot. A guy who loves to shoot with 2 solid passers. I think that's a pretty good deal. And also, like with Hannafin, I mean, he's got a big plus money point price. In fact, these Oilers have 2 players. You guys know the other one. 2 of those stirring straws. You can take the high-priced assist for Evander Kane at like plus 260 and combine that with the Leon Draisaitl over 1.5 points. That's plus 500. That's over plus 500. And then the top line, you know what it is. The Adam Henrique assist with the Connor McDavid 2 points. That's like plus 340. And those are the high price payouts that you can try to muster. On the Kings side, as you see, when a team's about to go out, they try to go out swinging. And because Edmonton's not known for their stingy defense, like I didn't like a lot of the Islanders because I know how Carolina plays. But like I mentioned before, maybe because Carolina has some more offensive players, you can still kind of get chances on them. But the over 2.5 shots on goal for Fiala, Arvidsson, and I'm tempted for Kempe, but 3.5 is asking a little much. So I'll go with the over 1.5 on Byfield. I think 2 out of those 3 will hit. If 1 out of the 3 hits, then yes, I officially screwed you. I'm hoping that is not the case. That's what I have for you here on this Wednesday. Good luck to you. Yes, better luck to me. Still better luck. Still after all this time. Do yourself a favor. Make sure you are subscribed to my YouTube channel here. Very much appreciated. So that I can tell you another thing like Tyler Toffoli. You guys can all get pissed off, but realize I got to be looking for similar things, and you should always look for similar. I'll do my best. I'll do my best to tell you, and you know where I can give you all the latest updates? You guys know where. Patreon.com/Andy Francess. That's where you can engage with some of these people in the nightly discussions about what... I mean, they got all such sorts of stuff going on. Half their bets are none of mine. They probably don't even use any of mine anymore. But they share all their tickets in there and discuss what they like for what reason. So if you guys want to join in on that, it's over at patreon.com/Andy Francess. That's also where I provide updates throughout the day anytime I find any information that I deem relevant. Hopefully I see you there. If not, I don't know. When am I going to see you again? How about tomorrow for some Thursday sniffs? I'll talk to you then. Take it easy.